The martial arts community is trash. We bow to each other on the mats. We talk about respect, honor, integrity. We say martial arts is about more than fighting. It changes our lives. It teaches us how to live. But then we put the people who destroy all of that on a pedestal. And we watch it happen in real time while the leaders in the community say absolutely nothing. Let's be for real though. The martial arts community is trash. Not all of it, but enough of it that we need to talk about it. Conor McGregor, Jon Jones, Lloyd Irvin, Cyborg, De La Riva, and now Andre Galvao. These men have made real contributions to the martial arts world, no doubt. Things that get ignored, buried because of their legend status, their skill on the mats or in the cage. And here's what I think does not get discussed enough. Holding these men up on a pedestal while not mentioning what they've done is actually more harmful than we think. Not just to them, but to us, to what we say we believe martial arts is supposed to be. And I know some of y'all are already typing in the comments, bro, what they do outside the cage ain't got nothing to do with their skill. Don't mix the art with the person. You're overthinking this. Nah, I'm not overthinking it. Y'all are underthinking it, because you can't say martial arts teaches discipline and honor and respect and then turn around and celebrate people who have shown you time and time again that they do not live by any of that. You can't have it both ways. Pick a side. Because when you put somebody on a pedestal, you're not just celebrating their skill. You're telling everybody watching that this is what our community values. And right now, we're telling them we value greatness over character, highlights over integrity. And don't get it twisted. People see that shit. Now, if you really want to see this up close, if you want to watch a community protect its legends in real time, look no further than the jiu-jitsu world. Jiu-jitsu has this reputation. It's had it for a long time. It's supposed to be the gentle art, the humble art, the great equalizer. A small person can tap a bigger person. A white belt could catch a black belt. That's the whole pitch, right? That's what drew everybody in. That's what drew me in. But the moment you step off the mats and into the community surrounding it, that's where shit gets ugly. The belt system in jiu-jitsu is one of the most politically charged things in all of martial arts. Who promoted you, who your coach trained under, what gym you came from, all that lineage stuff becomes your whole identity, right? And then someone in that lineage does something wrong and the community does not hold them accountable. They protect the tree. I've seen it firsthand. I've trained at 2 gyms like that. People who claim to roll with humility on the mats, who talk about ego death and surrendering to the process, turn around and defend figures in the community who have no business being defended, because that figure is connected to their gym, their coach, their reputation, their association. The art teaches you to let go, but the community holds on tight, especially when it's inconvenient for them to let go. And here's where it stops becoming just a philosophical problem. Because one of the biggest reasons women are coming into martial arts right now, especially jiu-jitsu, is to learn how to defend themselves. Because women who have been vulnerable their whole lives, who have been told the world is not safe for them, and they get to walk into a gym believing that this place is where they will finally get somebody to teach them how to protect themselves. And they still have to worry about being taken advantage of. And then there are children, kids who are even more vulnerable. Parents bring their kids to these gyms trusting that the people in the room are going to look out for them. That's the contract. That's what you're walking into when you step on the mat, or at least that's what we're supposed to do, right? So when the community, the same community that's supposed to be built on honor and respect, decides to protect its legends over the people who are most vulnerable, the students, that's not just a contradiction. That's betrayal of the women who came there to feel safe, of the kids who came there to grow, and of everything this art was supposed to stand for. I was 9 years old when my mom sat me down and gave me a choice. Pick a martial art. And of course, as a young black boy growing up in DC, I wanted to box. Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones Jr., these guys were my heroes. My mother shut that down immediately. She told me there was no discipline or respect in boxing, and to a certain extent, she's right, but I was told to pick something else. So I picked up Muay Thai, And that took me to my first school. I trained under a guy named Master Dong, a Vietnam veteran, over 70 years old, and from day one it was clear that this man was not just teaching us how to fight, he was teaching us how to live. And that's the thing. That right there, that's what martial arts is supposed to be about. Not a spectacle, not a platform for fame, not something you do to get attention or build a following. The mat is supposed to be sacred. The values are supposed to come first. Discipline, honor, integrity, resilience, accountability. That's the curriculum. That's what a young person is supposed to walk away with when they step off the mat. Because when you strip all that back, when you take away the highlight reels, the belts, the social media followers, what's left? What are you actually passing down to the next generation? Because my first coach didn't need any of that. He had no platform, he had no following, he had no fame, but he built something real. Something that actually changed people for the better. That's the true path of a martial artist. Not doing things for attention, not selling yourself out for money or fame. Honoring the art. Honoring what it's supposed to stand for. And passing those values down, not because it gets you likes or views, but because that's what the mat demands of you. So when I look at what this community has become, when I see fighters who turn martial arts into entertainment and call it legacy, I don't see greatness. I see people who left the path. I see people who took a whole generation with them. Here's the thing though. This isn't a martial arts problem. Every community does this. Every identity group has figures they refuse to hold accountable because these figures represent something bigger than the person. The legend becomes more important than the man himself. Think about it. When a community builds an identity around certain values, discipline, honor, toughness, it needs a representative. It needs a hero. It needs figures that prove the legend is real. And once you've invested in that legend, once it becomes a part of how you see yourself, it's almost impossible to look at the people holding it up and say, that person doesn't belong here. Because if you tear down the hero, you're not just questioning that person, you're questioning the whole story. And nobody wants that. But that's exactly the problem. The moment a community starts protecting its reputation over its principles, it stops being what it said it was. The values become decorative, something you say on the mat, something you put on the wall of a gym, but not something you actually live by or hold other people to. And in martial arts, where the whole foundation is supposed to be built on accountability and respect, that contradiction hits different. Because of how popular MMA has become, you got more and more kids getting involved in martial arts every day. Boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, judo, everything, right? All across the world right now, there are little boys and girls walking into a martial arts gym for the first time with their parents. But I want you to think about something. What environment do you want them to grow up in? What do you want them to learn? Not just about fighting, but who to be as a man or a woman. Because right now, the community is teaching them something. Whether we intend it or not, the people we celebrate, the people whose behavior we excuse, the legends we protect, that's the curriculum. That is what's being passed down if we don't change it. Master Dong taught me that martial arts is about more than what you can do with your hands or your feet. It's about the kind of person you become when you step off the mat and back into the real world. That's the real lesson. And it's one that we're failing to protect, if I'm being honest. And I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, hold the community accountable. Not just the fighters, not just the competitors, the whole fucking thing. Because if you're not willing to do that, if you're willing to celebrate the legends and ignore the damage that they've caused, then you're part of the problem. And the mat is not sacred to you, no matter what you say.